Hello, and welcome to Book Circle. I'm Earl Weinberg. This time we will continue our reading of Past Master by R.A. Lafferty. Chapter 4, On Happy Astrobe. The riches of civilized Astrobe were almost beyond comprehending. Thomas had a quick eye and a rapid mind, but he was dazzled by the wonders he rode through. Here were the homes and buildings of many millions of people, grand city after grand city, all in luxury and beauty and ease. Nor was it only the buildings and the perfected lands and parks. It was the people. They were elegant and large and incredibly urbane, full of tolerant amusement for the rolling spectacle, of a superior mien, of shattering superiority. They were the true kings of Astro. Every man was a king, every woman was at least queenly. It is Rome arisen again 100 times over, Thomas said. It is the power and the majesty. For good or bad, this is what all folks have wanted from the beginning. Here are all dreams come true. Here is the treasure at the end of Iris, the pearl of great price. Here is the fat land and the mighty city. It's the land beyond the hills of the Irish pipers, the great Brazil, the Hesperides. Easy, good Thomas. It is a whited sepulchre. But do they not keep it neat and shined? Evita mocked. Who was Evita, and what did she here? Thomas asked as much. A blinking brat with a charisma on you, Thomas exclaimed. Who are you, girl, and what are you doing in my party? How are you a known person on all this world, and you only a grubby child? But Evita did not answer. Thomas would never know for sure who she was, nor would others. Where do we go? Thomas asked. This is my dance, and I should be calling the tunes. I will not be led by the hand like a boy. I will make my own arrangements. You have been doing so, said Walter Copperhead, the necromancer. We do but proclaim it for you. We carry out every detail that you have ordered. But I have ordered nothing, Thomas said. It runs too fast for me. In your own mind you order it, said Rimrock the Ansel. You vision it in a Roman or English context, and we transfer it to an Astrobian. It is a triumph you require for yourself, not for pride or vanity, but for the solid establishment of a burgeoning regime. I have been transmitting your orders to the anxious powers, to the great men of Astrobe, and the Copperhead has been transmitting also. We call them, and they are amazed. We order them to assemble. They will not, they say, and they do. They are startled. They are full of wonder even before they see you. Rimrock, Rimrock, you'd grow rich as a fawny man at a country fair in old England. No gypsy ever set a spell so fine. But where do we go? To the convocation hall, as you yourself have decided, good Thomas, to take it all swiftly while the tide is running for us. You will be as the sudden apparition. You will accept the accolade and the mystic station of past master. I'm not even knowing what the convocation hall is, said Thomas, as they rolled through the magnificent city of Cosmopolis in Battersea's armored wagon. Who will be assembled there? Those you have ordered to assemble will have assembled, said the oceanic Rimrock, and the details work themselves out as we roll on, and always to our advantage. There's a small bloody battle going on now over the exaltation trumpets, actually 12 small battles in the 12 steep towers around the hall. The trumpets haven't blown for 20 years, but you have decided wisely that they will blow for you. Happily, your men win those small bloody battles now. I didn't know I had any men, said Thomas. The party rolled to the head of the concourse. They stopped and dismounted. They walked the long concourse between the rows of heavenly aspens. Then the whole sky broke open. The exaltation trumpets blasted a deafening golden blare like 12 Gabriels announcing the second coming. The electrum doors of the convocation hall swung open to the soaring sound. This was a striking effect that had been devised 200 years before. This was their moment, and the shabby, incandescent party entered. All the great ones of Astrobe sat in the high circle. They sat there in amazement, some willingly, some not. Many of them had been drawn there protesting that they would not go. The compulsion puzzled them, and they knew much about the management of minds. and the Thomas More party stood in the arena below them, but it was not at all as if the great ones were looking down on the party below. Then all the great ones stood, and they hadn't intended to. The great ones of Astrobe stand only in the presence of a superior. All were assembled, and all were on their feet now. Kingmaker, Proctor, Foreman, Potscamp, North Prophet, Dabowski, Quickcrafter, Haddad, Chesum, Treva, Goldgopher, Chew, Sykes, Fabello, Dulldoggle, Potter, Landmaster, Salver, Stoimanoff, all the high dukes of Astrobe, half a dozen former world presidents, the tall scientists and the mind men, the world designers. In the arena was Thomas More, dirty and in disarray, with a shattered jaw wired up by a cathead knacker, a long-nosed, almost comical middle-aged man of short stature. The Paul person who had lost his surname and his citizenship for irregular doings and now had bone splinters in his brain that affected his vision and his wits. Rimrock, the oceanic man who communicated by means unknown and who was in appearance a grotesque rubber-nosed animal. Evita, the legend girl woman whose existence was doubted by all rationalists. Walter Copperhead, the necromancer who was no better than an astrologer, all of them with the smell and trappings of black cat heads still on them. The vast sound of the exultation trumpets broke. It died down in echoing fragments and left a vibrating silence. And a person had declared himself. This was the past master, dead 1,000 years, a dumpy little almost old man, a pinkish little elf on a world of gold-bronzed giants. But on him in that moment was the magikos, the charismatic grace, the transcendent magnetism, the presence, the messiahship, the dreocht. He had erupted in the midst of them with the dirt of the grave still on him, so it seemed. It was sheer ghostliness, the seeming of one who comes through closed doors and sealed tombs, one who is the master of time. It was transcendence touching them all. Then came the ovation like a pouring ocean. It broke in heavy crested waves, each one higher than the former. It lasted a great while. It lifted them up, all the golden cynics who had forgotten what it was to be exalted. Some of them would speak of it later as their fool's carnival, yet it would always remain a stunning thing in their lives. Thomas had them hooked without speaking a word. A presence had been created for him, and it had won. How that presence had been managed and by whom, Thomas would try to sort out in his mind later. Had it all been done by a quack man and a quack animal and a brat child? Who makes magic here? Clearly, several powers of a near alien sort had been working for him there. And that presence made itself known immediately through all the cities and through all that world from one end to the other. It is the past master, the people everywhere said. He had them, he had them. Then he spoke loudly and clearly. I accept the great burden that has been given me to bear, Thomas announced in a silver voice that had a bit of the old grave duct in its burr. Now we will set about governing and righting of this world. He hasn't been offered the burden yet, Peter Proctor throat growled to himself. But Peter was grinning a weird fox-like grin. Nobody appreciated a successful masterstroke so well as did Proctor. And after minutes, or perhaps hours, the convocation broke and moved away in glittering fragments. The implementation of it would be done in smaller gatherings, in tight groups and committees. The particular details would evolve themselves out of shrewd staff work. But nobody really doubted that they had their man. It was Rimrock, the rubber-nosed ocean man thing, said Thomas when he had withdrawn with his party and was mingling with other functionaries. It was the Copperhead with his occult stuff. It was Paul with his broken crown and the child witch with the two opposite auras about her. They took all the grand ones like country ganglers with the magic show they did for me. Aye, and with trumpets. I thought I was a master of contrived effects, Cosmos Kingmaker told Thomas, but I never put together a show like yours. I have a personal difficulty. My wife has been regarded as the most beautiful woman on Astrobe, and she so regards herself. It is indeed a requisite of my position that I have the most beautiful woman on Astrobe, But the legend girl who is in your entourage has her startled, and the popular reports have her torn up. So long as the Evita was believed to be a legend, it could be lived with. Now she has made another public appearance, and everybody on the planet knows who she is. I have not seen the one nor greatly noticed the other, except for certain queer qualities that cling to her, and they are not altogether of beauty. I have no idea at all how she happens to be in my entourage. She's a puzzler. So you've been wandering like a loon these days and nights, Kingmaker accused, and no telling into what hands you've fallen. It isn't a very responsible beginning. What hills and dales of Astrobe you've been wandering over, I don't know. Through what swamps, rather? On Earth, at least, the loon is a bird of the swamps and meres. I've been in some brackish swamps. It's a bird, is it? Kingmaker asked. I thought it was only an expression. Well, whatever swamps you have been wading in, do not go to them again till you have been instructed. You will not know with what eyes to look at these things until we tell you. I intend to use my own eyes. No, no, that won't do at all. We won't have you interfering with things we have set up for you to do or offering untutored programs on your own. You're saying that you won't have me interfering with the image that you intend me to present under? That's it exactly, Thomas. The image has already gotten a little beyond what we intended. We were worried whether we could make it strong enough. Now we are worried that perhaps it is a little too strong. I had expected you to be more amazed at the wonders of Astrobe, however. Kingmaker man, I stand and stare boggle-eyed at them like a calf at the new barn door. Of course I'm impressed by the 1,000 years of technological advantage since my time, half of it made since the first landing on Astrobe, much of it quite new to me. And in my day, I had the name of being a forerunner in these things. I didn't know what questions to ask about the future when I talked to certain traveling men on this subject a long time ago, or at least a long time from here. I asked them questions of philosophy and theology, and the political formation of commonwealths, and of the arts and tongues, and of the mind understanding itself. It never struck me that the changes would be in material things. We had already made great advances in these, far beyond the Greeks and Romans, and I thought the cycle would swing back, and the 1,000 years after myself would be devoted to advances in the intangibles. I am impressed. The more I hear, the more I see, I'm impressed. The fact that there are no sick of body among you, except in the Barrio and Cathead, amazes me. The fact that there are no sick of mind among you would entice me also, had I not discovered for myself that so many of you are dead of mind. All your mechanical and mental things are new coinage to me. Your mind probes and mind crawls fascinate me, even when they are turned on myself. You have loosed them on me within the last several moments, have you not, Kingmaker? I can feel them crawling like moles through the tunnels of my head. Ha! I've got them cocked now, though. I've but to think in Latin and they can't come into me. I always believed that it would be a mental image thing, not a verbal thing when it came. We have both sorts, Thomas. The verbal is the simpler. So simple that you can hide it in the palm of your hand, Kingmaker, and you do. It's neater than eavesdropping, Kingmaker said, and it does pick up the sub-vocals. You yourself use an Ansel, but they haven't proved satisfactory. The Ansel tends to forget that he is only a communication device. Sometimes he becomes the master. Most men think in words in their unguarded moments, and particularly when they are voicing other words at the same time. Of course, my own device here can be fitted with a Latin or any other attachment. It is just that I had forgotten that Latin was still used in your day by the international scholar crowd. So I have missed a sequence out of your private thought, and just when it was getting pretty good. Would you repeat it for me? No, Kingmaker, it would burn the ears off you. But of all the things I've seen on Astrobe to this minute, it is your programmed persons who most enchant me. Not the programmed killers who have given me some trouble, but the others. What a boy's dream come true. The old-time Greeks dreamed of this, you know, and the latter-time Jews. The mechanical man who works. What clockmaker's apprentice would not give half his soul for the secret that we can make machines in our own image and that they can outthink and outperform us? It's a marvel, Kingmaker. It hasn't grown to be a stale marvel with you, has it? And not only have men made them to perform better than men, but now, so I'm told, the things make themselves better than men can make them. No, this marvel hasn't become stale to me, Thomas. I wasn't sure how you would take it, particularly since you yourself have been attacked by the programmed. The killers themselves are a specialized minority, built to guard against any threat to the Astrobe dream. But sometimes it seems they make mistakes. The programmed themselves are the main thing, the men of the future, the successors to ourselves. While Kingmaker talked, Thomas entertained in the cellar of his mind one of those passage dreams such as both he and Paul had experienced on the transit between Earth and Astrobe. Cosmo Kingmaker was a great golden spider for all that he wore the head of a lion in the dream. Out of her webs she spun, for sex is often confused in these passage dreams, the whole great civilized world of Astrobe. The great buildings, the great societies, all were the fruit of these webs. The whole world of Astrobe was entirely of gossamer, but the rampant spider would defend her work in every flossy pinnacle of it. There would be no compromise here. The silky facade must be preserved. What matter that it had no substance? Then a black wind arose, blowing out of Cathead. It began to rend the webs. Hear, hear, great Kingmaker shouted in the superb spidery voice. It is a false thing that blows. I am the true thing. I am the true Cathead, and not this other. I say to the winds, be quiet. Do not rumble my webs. Oh, do not rumble my webs. I will return to these wonders again and again, Kingmaker, Thomas said, talking on an entirely different level than that of his passage dream. And the most wonderful of all is your travel today. On my trip to Astrobe, I traveled 100 times farther in every second than I had gone in all my life before, and I am a traveled man, familiar in all the capitals of Christendom. Speed has become infinite. No, Thomas. Hop equation travel is only the square of 8 or 64 times light speed. With that, we can never hope to reach more than a narrow corner of the universe. Other number-based travel has been tried, the square of 37, for instance, or Horowitz equation travel, but no pilot has ever returned from that, or from any of the others. They may return a billion years in the future, or in the past, or they may be lost. We aren't the lords of speed yet. Even so, you must have billions of worlds to colonize. No, not yet, not for many centuries. We have only 6 proven reserve worlds after Astrobe, and the colonies on them are still sickly things. The elites do not go out to them as they went out from Earth to Astrobe. At the moment, we are going nowhere except backwards. With every man jack of you a thumping genius, you should be going forward with a great surge. Kingmaker, you figure to use me as a front, you have admitted as much. But a little study of recent astropolitics is not reassuring. I find you have had, for recent short-term world presidents, a Mr. X, the masked Marvel, the asteroid Midas, and the Hawkman from Helios. The latter must have looked rather like Foreman. They sound like the names of ancient Roman gladiators, or as one has suggested to me of medieval American wrestlers. Now, you take me for another costumed actor, a contrived front symbol for you to manipulate. You will bill me as the past master. Probably, since the name has taken the popular fancy. We haven't yet decided. Cosmo, I will be manipulated by no one. If elected president, I will preside. That is what we both hope and fear, Thomas. No, your case is not like the others. We have run out of tricks, but the people haven't run out of expecting tricks. To be elected, you must be presented as a contrived front symbol. But to rescue Astrobe from its mortal difficulties, you must supply us with a new element. I believe you're afraid of a new element, Kingmaker. Of course I am, but I will not have the fabric of our world rended. Do not rumble my webs. Oh, do not rumble my webs. What, Thomas? A fragment of a dream up from the cellar of my mind, no more. You will try anything, be it deepest change, to preserve the changelessness. I don't know what the necessary element will be, Thomas. Foreman believes that he knows. Thomas, you don't seem too curious about your own attempted assassinations. Oh, I've set up my own apparatus to go into that, Kingmaker. It reaches higher than the simple programmed. It reaches to the complex programmed and to the high-ranking human. It's a pretty strong party that wants me dead before I am ever, as it were, born on Astrobe. There's another thing we're afraid of, Thomas. We're afraid to show you and afraid to hide you, and it's too late to make another choice. You have an impressive name to the initiates. You received a startling ovation, which we do not understand, neither the thing itself nor our own part in it. And you have an impressive contuming for the people, but you're not an impressive personality. You hear me now, Kingmaker. I do not strut sitting down, if that is what you mean. I do not play the great man privately. But I can be an excellent man when there is time for it, and you will not find a better. I was counted a master in my own time, and I will be a master here. On the skena I can play the noblest rhetor of them all. There'll be naught awkward or awry about my performance, Kingmaker. At this one thing for which Astrobe has a hunger now, high oratory, we were the professionals and you are the amateurs. I know that you have analyzed the thing and broken the personal aura down into its elements. It is like chopping up a bird, but can you make a bird? Perhaps you can, since you made the programmed persons, but we recognize them as artificial. I know that you have built intricate eloquence machines, man, but they ring false. The laughter of the people at them, like autumn leaves blowing, is evidence of this. I've heard the eloquence machines, and I've heard the people's response. I've heard human and programmed orators who have studied under the eloquence machines. I've heard a lot of things in 1 week on Astrobe. People are hungry for the real thing, and I can give it to them. You try to analyze my ovation at my coming to the convocation hall, and you fail. Part of it was the connivance of my friends and associates, and part of it was the congruity of circumstances, but the most of it, Kingmaker, was myself. We'll have to let you try it, Thomas, but don't ever try to set policy. Policy on Astrobe has become an intricate science. Politics was intricate in my day, Thomas maintained. But Kingmaker began to laugh at that. Thomas was not sure whether or not he had reason. We are lucky to be alive, Thomas, said Peter Proctor, the lucky fox, and I do not mean it in any negative way, as though there were something threatening us. I mean that developments themselves are lucky, and on Astrobe today, things are the luckiest ever. Then why do so many choose to leave this life, Proctor? Thomas asked. Leave it? You mean join the cathead thing? Or do you mean what was once vulgarly called the suicide rate? The first depresses me, the second delights me. Is it not lucky to be able to leave a life that cloys? Is it not lucky that there are such neat facilities for it? Should a man sit at a table after he is sated? Why then should he live a moment longer than is required? Golden Astrobe is no prison. We do not build walls around it to keep men in. Life is not for everybody, and long life should be for none. A man may dispose of himself in a booth on any street corner. All apprehension and uneasiness has been removed. A man can leave with a clear conscience. I do the dirty thing with a clear conscience, and you make it work. We live in a lucky world, Thomas. Now we rub our hands and we will bring still more luck to it. I am the good luck piece now, am I? Thomas asked. And what thing are you, Peter? I have wondered, and so I am told of others. Me, Thomas? I'm the luckiest man in the world, any world. No need to look more deeply into me. I'm the second richest man on Astrobe after Kingmaker, and all envy attaches to him, not to me. I am fortunate in wife, in offspring, in attainments, in residence. I have heard the scree, Thomas said. And I'm universally liked, Proctor finished with a look that was more than commonly fox-like. It was another of those passage dreams up from the cellar of Thomas' mind. Peter Proctor was a fox indeed, and he ran nimbly over a thin volcanic crust that had a very great depth below it. Thomas was in sudden terror of that emptiness below the crust and the flickering flames that were only an aspect of that emptiness. Just how deep was the great space below that thin crust? Thomas peered down. The space was forever. There was no bottom. Stars could be seen below under their feet, but there was something the matter with those stars. They were crooked things, stars of the crooked light. But Peter the Fox was in no way terrified with that great depth, not even when great clumps of the volcanic crust broke away before his feet and fell forever. It is my home there, said the fox. Let the crust sink down in it, let it fragment and break, and pitch all its fauna into the flames and the void. I welcome it, the fundamental void. I was born for it, and I will take all to it quickly if only the meddlers who prop up the crust will desist. The flames and the void are my home. Nothing can harm a fox with an asbestos tail. And then Thomas noticed that Peter the fox did indeed have an asbestos tail. But you are one of the 3 men who sent to bring me out of the past, Thomas said. Why should you, if everything goes so well here? Oh, I believe that you might do less harm than another, little Thomas. You will be the newest novelty. We need such for the people in this temporality, this passing phase. The people must dine on novelties after they are cloyed with food. The constant search for novelty, which is a form of despair. Who said that, little Thomas? A Frenchman some centuries after my time. I came on the phrase lately by accident. No, I believe that novelty is an aspect of ever-leafing hope and the great resolving, Thomas. Hope is a station that we pass on our way there. Hope is wonderful. Aye, Proctor, and luck is lucky, and you don't seem quite real to me. I wonder if you cast a shadow. Not a black one, I hope, Thomas. You still wonder why I was a party to sending for you since things are going so well? I consider you an innocuous man, an old-fashioned toy. Let the people have their toys. What will you do if I prove to be more than a toy? It is lucky that I have so many sides to me. It is lucky that I can be very cruel without qualms. I can be very unpleasant when the situation calls for it, Thomas. I will not allow you to become more than a toy. One wrong move and you are a broken toy. Politics has become a science, and I am its only consummate scientist. Believe me, I am the only one who knows what is going on. I make it go. When Kingmaker washes his hands and absolves himself, I take over. If you prove to be more than a toy, I will take over. It is always darkest just before false dawn, said Fabian Forman. The foolish rooster has crowed. They had them yet in your day, did they not, Thomas? Or have I my ears mixed? And it is still night. Astrobe has been a false dawn, and now we believe that the dawn will never end. It seems rather bright to me here, said Thomas. If this be night, what will the daylight be like? But we are wrong in believing that the darkness will continue forever, Foreman continued. The true dawn must come, and quite soon, or else nothing will come. The night will end, whether in daylight or in nothingness. But I regret that the next Grian sun will come up behind a particularly dirty cloud. I simply do not see any other way to arrange it. Is it you personally who makes the sun to rise, Foreman? Quite right, Thomas. It is I personally who will make this particular sun come up. Had you some idea that the sun came up by itself, or that another than myself was calling the tune on it? Proctor believes he makes things go on Astrobe, but I make Proctor go, Thomas. He says that when Kingmaker absolves himself and washes his hands, he, Proctor, takes over. Of course he does. Kingmaker is the action, Proctor is the reaction or the nullification. How grandly Kingmaker acts, how beautifully and automatically Proctor will react. Oh, how cleverly I will abet them both in it, and I will be the only one who understands the results. Out of the mind's cellar, again, a broached, cobweb-covered bottle of the sparkly stuff. 90 seconds of poignant drama that goes on while the rest of the world goes on and exposes the roots of that world. Foreman, his hawk face set in a gash of torture, sat at a rougher table than one should find on Astrobe. He had 30 cockle shells on the table before him, and he shuffled and counted them. He wept, but as a hawk would, awkwardly and in ungainly fashion, with a hideous cawing and coughing. It has to be, he cawed. There is no other way to bring it about. But one of the cockle shells was actually a cockerel shell, and the foreman hawk noticed it with a start. Then a thunder came and sat down at the table with him. It is Mother Carey's own chicken you destroy there, the thunder said. There is not woe in all the worlds like your woe. I know how a cat watches a bird, the Thomas said to Foreman, and the passage bird had flown. And I know how well the bird can serve the cat in his business. You'll not take me in one mouthful, though. I'm a bony bird, I assure you. And now I see that you are hawk and no cat, but still you pounce on me. What do you mean, little Thomas? Proctor called me that too, and he also purred when he said it. I get you animals mixed. You are not the same types as on Earth. Foreman, I have the feeling that you'll push me into a corner that I'm too stubborn to come out of. I must push everyone into corners that they're unable to come out of. I feel lonesome in that I am the only one who sees things so clearly and so far in advance. The first time it happened, did somebody push you into a corner that you were too stubborn to come out of? Did you know who did it to you, Thomas? Do you want me to tell you? I don't want to know, because I suspect what man of good name it was who forced me to my murdering. But the first time hasn't happened yet, to me. I was grabbed off by your pilot a few months before my Earth death that 1,000 years ago. I don't understand at all what happened that first time, since it hasn't yet. But I know, Thomas. Yes, a man did push you into such a corner before, and I will push you into a corner this time. You couldn't expect a different ending, could you? It worked to a limited effect the first time. It half saved a hopeless situation. It will work to a greater effect this time. I won't absolve myself or wash my hands, but I'll miss you. Foreman, in the whole Astrobe situation, everyone is hiding something from me. Everyone is wonderful on Astrobe, they tell me, and so it does appear to me, except for a comparatively slight area of blight which has appeared and will soon disappear, but it grows larger. The sickness of Astrobe can't be merely that a group has reverted uneconomically to a backward form of economy, to an obsolete form of life. It is not that they have returned to the hard life of poverty by free choice and with no apparent compensation. There have been such cults before. If the sickness had been no more than this, you wouldn't have called me up to doctor it or to serve as a front for those doctoring it. Well, something is very sick here. There's a beautiful golden fever that kills. I don't understand even the symptoms. And a hard man in Cathad told me that I would mistake the sickness for the cure. The hard man was half right, Thomas. The cathead thing is madness to most, a turning to poverty and abject misery from free choice, and that choice made by millions of people, more than a tenth of those on Astrobe so far. You say you have seen the misery there. You could not have, not in 2 days and a night. It is the years and years of that bone rotting misery that sickens the imagination. But the cathead partisans say that their experiment is a returning to life. This I cannot explain to you, no more can they. You have to live your way into it in your own time, and your time is too short for that. Perhaps you'll see it in your last moment. Perhaps I'll see it now if somebody would talk sense. Oh, the two things are eating each other up, and who is to say which of them is the rightful body and which is the cancer? The cathead affair is neither the sickness nor the cure. It is a symptomatic eruption, a surface effect of the sickness. We are sicker than cathead. We are sicker than the barrio. Oh, we'll die for it. I myself have made some plans for a resurrection or a rebirth, or for the coming of another thing that may have resemblance to present substance, but resemblance only. Now we prepare in small things while the world ends. We'll make you serve the preparation as we've made worse men serve lesser ends, and you'll serve better after you're dead. Damn it, I am dead from your viewpoint. Yes, that's the way I regard you. But your death here and now on Astrobe is what's required. The shape of things to come is very intricate, but it may work out for the best after we are past this tricky situation. For whose best, Foreman? I've the feeling that I'm being measured and dealt for. You are. Take the cheerful view, Thomas. You've been dead 1,000 years. How will it matter what happens to you here? Foreman, I'm quite interested in what happens to me after I'm really dead. I'm not dead now, whatever the seeming. They keep a different sort of time on the other side. I don't understand you, Foreman. Are you for me or against me? I'm for you, Thomas, absolutely. I'm working for the very highest goal by the lowest of means. So I'm for you all the way, to the death and beyond. Yours, not mine. And with those cheerful words, you leave me. These three are the inner group of the Circle of Masters. It's no wonder Astrope is sick, Thomas said to himself. Thomas talked to Potscamp, who had been called the fourth member of the Big Three. Thomas enjoyed talking to Potscamp, one of the most interesting individuals he had ever met. Never was there a more pleasant or surprising person, and Potscamp had a mind that was like quicksilver. Sometimes Thomas was sure that there was nothing in that mind, and again there was very much in it. It was as though Potscamp went to a source and dipped deep whenever he had the need to replenish himself. Potscamp had large, innocent blue eyes and the look of perpetual youth. And yet he had been active in Astrobe affairs for very many years and was certainly older than Thomas' normal age. But he was a boy, a precocious boy, a startling boy who might torture cats or commit abominations, but who would always do so with an air of total innocence. So that you will know who really runs things on Astrobe, Thomas. I know, Potscamp, I know. Another capsule dream like a passage dream. There was a boy who built a toy. It was a clever boy, and a clever toy he built. Which one was Potscamp, Thomas could not say, for they both looked like him. Go steal apples, the boy told the toy, and the toy did so. He brought back an armload in no time at all. Go out to my best friend in the road there and knock him down, the boy child said, and the toy did so. He knocked down the best friend, and in return he got himself bloodied up and battered. The child was delighted with what had happened to his best friend and to his toy. Work out my language assignments for tomorrow, the child said, and the toy worked out all the constructions and translations of the Kamiroy and Puka and Neo-Spanish assignments. Drink, the child said, And the toy went and drank from the brook that ran beside the home house. Eat, the child said, and the toy ate the child up, every limb and light and bone and morsel of him. Was that Potscamp? Was he a toy who would eat you up, or was he the guileless one who would be devoured? I know, Potscamp, I know who runs things on Astrobe, Thomas said. Kingmaker runs everything by himself, so does Proctor, so does Foreman, he even makes the sun to rise. And so do you run it all, you will say. But Potscamp shook his head. Our talk will be at another time, Thomas. Our small conversation today was but to proclaim myself to you. You are a person, I am a person, the others are not, not really. If you are not of a certain consequence or likely to become of consequence, I would not trouble to inform you and deal with you. A little later, Thomas, and in another place, we will talk at our leisure. And with me there will be 8 other entities that you will find very interesting. What you will meet on that evening in the near future is the real circle of masters, though several of us belong to both circles. We will instruct you on what is indeed taking place. We will show you the back of the tapestry. What you see now is not the true face of Astrobe, not all of it. The other side of the tapestry is shaggier, but it is a real picture also, and a much more meaningful one than the world you look at now. Take out your eyeballs and polish them up, Thomas. Sweep out your ears and garnish them with acanthia. You will need all your sensing organs at their clearest to comprehend what we will reveal to you. Have you never had the feeling, Thomas, that you were looking at everything from the wrong side? You have been. Well, we'll look at things from one side or the other next time.